Hello and welcome back to the NWR Virtual Healthcare Conference. My name's Matt Wright. Next up, we have Lumos Diagnostics, which is listed under the ASX ticker LDX. And joining us is the CEO, Doug Ward. Before we get started, another reminder, if you have a question that you'd like to submit, please feel free to type it in using the Q&A panel within Zoom. And Doug, I'll now hand it over to you to get started with the presentation. Go ahead.
Hey, thanks so much, Matt. Really appreciate it. And thank you for NWR for inviting me to represent Lumos today. Greatly appreciated, everyone. So I'm very pleased to go through our first half results for our fiscal year 2023. First, appropriate disclaimers and information. And for those of you who have not met me, just wanted to give a real brief introduction. 30 plus years in diagnostics across the board with various stage companies, from initial seed financing startups like PGDX, where I was the CEO, and that company ultimately sold for $450 million to LabCorp, to working and building businesses within large multinationals like Roche, where I built the companion diagnostic services business for Ventana Medical within the Roche environment, and then a plethora of very large and small companies over those 30 plus years. So with that, just for those of you who are unfamiliar with Lumos Diagnostics, Lumos is a point of care diagnostic company. And point of care testing is testing that is performed close to the patient, right? And we are a designer, a developer, manufacturer, and ultimately we also commercialize products into the global market for point of care testing. The company's built upon a very nice IP of reader platform that originally came out of Planet Innovation, Australian-based company as well. And we have multiple units, very flexible orientation of a platform portfolio, if you will, that then you put, those are the razors that you put the diagnostic tests, the razor blades, onto that razor. And that's the idea of point of care testing. So we develop these tests, manufacture these in our facility in Carlsbad, California, which is outside of San Diego. And I just say that we have really two major areas within our business, highly linked and synergistic. One is our services business, and the other where we basically make and design products for other companies. And then also we make our own and commercialize our own products. So we kind of do a little bit about both of those. First half of the year this year, we did approximately $5 million US in sales. And toward the end of the project, I'll go over the full year financials for everyone. A very exciting area of growth for the company, though, through our services business is through a strategic relationship that we formed with Hologic. And I'm going to talk more about that relationship later and the importance of that to the I think the long-term setup and success of the company. And as I said, we also have our own products that we brand, Lumos branded products that we sell globally as well. And I'll talk briefly about those. So first of all, again, point of care testing, I think it's very evident from the experience with COVID that there certainly is an increased demand and appreciation for bringing certain tests, right, medically appropriate tests, closer and closer to the patient for diagnosis. And we see that in spades here relative to the types of business that it's creating for us in our services environment. Likewise, the way the industry is set up, most of the players in the point of care space, unless you're one of the very, very large companies like the Quidel's or the Abbotts of the world, they're pretty fragmented players. especially when new innovation is involved. People are typically either a design house, they might be a technology niche oriented business, they may be a platform, they may have manufacturing, or they may just be a commercial engine. It's very rare that you get all of this in one type of business. And I think what we're finding is that those players who can kind of bring all that together and be a much more comprehensive player in this are turning out to be the winners as we move out of that COVID fog, if you will, of a lot of money, a lot of expectation went into bringing out these COVID tests. And when that didn't materialize, now you're kind of looking, okay, well, how do these companies compete, and how do people win in this environment? And what we're seeing is it's those who have a comprehensive approach to point of care testing that we think are going to be the winners here. So just speaking about us, we are that comprehensive company. It's a great way to present ourselves to the market. We have the ability to design, develop, and manufacture tests. We can do that both in a visual format, or you can use our multiple reader technologies that we have and do that in a more automated standpoint. We also have our IVD development manufacturing. And then we're one of the very few, I would say, small companies that have a comprehensive clinical, regulatory, high quality function within our business to perform and ensure that you end up getting regulatory approvals globally. So it's great to have that structure and these capabilities. It's totally another, though, to then turn that into success as a business. And I would just say that a small company like a Lumos, roughly 10 million per annum in revenue, unfortunately still in a cash burn situation. It's really important that you leverage external partnerships in order to become more successful, Very large companies are typically highly commercially oriented. They may not have the innovation that small, nimble startup or new public companies may have. So you're looking to bring the best of both worlds together through these strategic partnerships, and that is really core to our strategy, is to not just do these things for ourselves, which we can take limited and focused investments to bring some products to market, but by working with strategics to put their products onto our platforms and/or develop their visual only tests and bring those to market are key ways that we're going to be able to be successful going forward. So one of those, as I started earlier in the presentation, that we have started to leverage is our strategic relationship with Hologic. Full disclosure, I come from, my previous job was with Hologic, where I was the head of diagnostics, BD, and strategy group. We had a relationship with Lumos. I saw that relationship, and quite frankly, it was a key reason that I came on board here at Lumos, because I saw this great opportunity to bring the reader technology and the capabilities of Lumos to what Hologic needed to meet its point of care areas of focus. So very pleased to say that, we had secured 3 contracts in the first half of this year. We've just now announced that we've signed 3 more worth up to 5.9 million here within the last 30 days. So very, very exciting. And we expect that will continue to bear fruit as we further evolve and grow our strategic relationship together. In addition to that, we do still have our 2 key products on market. Pepperdex, which is a highly differentiated and unique test that is able to differentiate between a bacterial infection and a viral infection. We do have think up to 6 clearances now globally. We sell the product in, I think, 16 different countries, and we are resubmitting that for FDA clearance, and we expect to get that cleared sometime in the calendar year of 2023. And then the other product that we sell currently in Canada is the Virodex product. That's a flu and COVID test, rapid test as well. And we're waiting for emergency use authorization from the FDA for that product. So overall, just to quickly, sorry about that, give you the year-end results or the mid-year results, $5 million approximately in sales. We have restructured the business and significantly reduced our cost basis for the first half of this year. And we've also, though, obviously landed a lot of new service contracts, especially with our key strategic Hologics. And we signed a recent agreement as well for a convertible note up to 8 million Aussie to help further fund the business. Here, I'm not going to speak to these other than saying, hey, even though we reduced our cost by more than 50%, we've done a great job in maintaining revenue, especially in regard to the fact that there's a significant revenue mix here where, we lost certain sales of products like COVID that we were selling back in 2022 that we no longer have in our portfolio. So I feel really, really good. And you also see the margin expansion return to those numbers that we would expect going forward. And then, as I said, we've significantly cut our expenses and our burn rate. So we're really pleased and think that we've reset the company on a solid financial foundation, and really look forward to growing the company and trying to get to cash flow positive as soon as possible. So to wrap it up just quickly, again, we continue to focus on our services business, expand that, especially through our strategic relationship with Hologic and others. We have more than 12 different relationships already that we will continue to service. And then we really are looking to monetize our own point of care products and/or licensing and partnership for those products as we continue to keep our cash burn as low as possible and continue to drive our top line revenue as much as possible. So with that, Matt, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks very much, Doug. Just to reiterate, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to type them in using the Q&A panel within Zoom. Doug, I'll start off with the company had an announcement last week regarding the 3 agreements with Hologic. Can you just expand on that a little bit more, give a little bit more color around what that means for Lumos?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Matt. So those 3 agreements, the first one, the large one, which is 4.2 million, is what's called an asset purchase leaseback agreement. So, right, we have numerous capital equipment assets in the company. Hologic is purchasing those, and then we rent those back over the long term and pay that loan off, if you will. So a great way to get funding, non-dilutive funding, which is also very important to us, and just demonstrates, right, Hologic's not a bank. That's not something they would typically do, but due to the relationship and the importance of that, it's something that we both thought would be a wise strategic move for us. The other 2 agreements are services agreements, helping them with some of their current project development and manufacturing needs within their point of care portfolio. And that's another 1.9 million, 1.7 million in additional agreements. Those agreements are, I think, roughly around a 6-month time frame.
Thanks, Doug. Question is, from your experience in the industry, what are the key reasons that you're confident in the Lumos business moving forward?
Yeah, it's a great question. Well, listen, I'm a big believer that number one, it's people make great companies and determine whether they're successful. This is a good team, right? Unfortunately, went through a very, very challenging time, went from about 150 people, we're now down to like 40 plus. But the people here are great and terrific at what they do and world class. So one, that's reason number one. Reason two is, hey, you have to have a differentiated approach into the market. I think with our platforms and going after these, if you will, I think more niche and specialty applications, we can be very, very successful in bringing diagnostic products to market, both our own as well as, partnered strategic partnerships. And then just lastly, I would say, I think we put the company in a good foundation financially, right? For these companies to go through a great IPO and unfortunately a very challenging time. And now coming out of that, putting ourselves in a position where we believe we have strong confidence we're going to be able to fund our company for the next 18 months without having to come out and ask for additional funding from the market and so forth. Just kind of puts us, I think, in a much better place to ultimately be successful in the market.
Thanks, Doug. Can you just talk, I know you've had some experience there directly, but can you just talk a little bit more about who Hologic is, what products they deliver, and why Lumos is strategically important for them?
Yeah, sure. So Hologic is the #1 women's health company in the world, right? They have two different divisions, if you will. One is about breast and skeletal, mammography and so forth, where they're the market leader. And then there's diagnostics. And again, they're the market leader in women's health diagnostics, testing like molecular testing, mostly HPV, right? Infectious disease testing and so forth. Global, one of the fastest, I'd say, best growing company. They really capitalized well on the COVID opportunity, putting that onto their platforms. So it's a great company, global company. They have acquired a number of companies that they're investing in, but they also look for ways to invest in next generation products and in technology out there, but not necessarily looking that they have to buy those companies. So they partner that, and they have a reputation of doing that for, probably 20 plus years. So it's one where they go, hey, we love that platform that Lumos has. We've worked together for years, so we've demonstrated the success of what we do from an IVD assay development standpoint, from chemistry, from a manufacturing standpoint. So we built that credibility, and they now are like, hey, this is a partner that can help bring more point of care tests to market in that women's health arena.
Very good. And a question that's come through is, are we pursuing business opportunities excluding Hologic, and how close are we in achieving that?
Yeah, of course. As I said, you don't want, but it's a seed to sapling type of mentality and strategy here, right? You have minnows, you have your big fish, and then you have these whales. Hologic's a whale. You want a few of those, quite frankly, and then you need, right, a lot of minnows and or other large fish, and we have everything in every category right now. It'd be good to get to the stage where you're not just taking business because, hey, you can do it, but being more and more strategic and selective in terms of what's the potential long-term benefit here of doing this deal and the possibility that it actually gets to market. 2 years ago, our revenue was off the charts because we were doing tons of COVID services work. And as we all know, market went up and market came crashing down around COVID. We're very fortunate that, okay, these opportunities that we're looking at long-term things that are in things such as, other diagnostic tests, animal health, agriculture, as well as IVD diagnostics. So we're trying to be, creating multiple opportunities that have long-term runway with our agreements. And as I said earlier, we have more than 12 of these types of agreements in place today. So, and we will want to continue to expand that as much as possible.
Well, thanks for that, Doug. That's all the questions. Thanks for taking the time today to take us through the latest on Lumos, and we'll leave it at that. Next up in the conference, we have Imugene, who will be presenting at 11 a.m. But thanks to everyone for joining this one, and thanks again, Doug, for your time.
Thank you. All the best, everyone.